Nothing wrong with that. You can play in this league if you can get open. The really good guys get open when it's not the right defense, when it's not the perfect play call for the perfect coverage. Guys that can get themselves open, both physically and also cerebrally, understanding where the coverage is, leverage is, zone, man, all the things that we've tried to introduce today, both in the classroom and now implementing in stages here on the field. If you have to be created open from a play caller, it gets hard to get a lot of production. You'll get your couple nakeds, you'll catch a couple pop seam passes. My thought was anybody in the league can catch those. You got to be the guy that can catch those because they all count. You'll take them all. But you also, when the play's not right, you got to be able to create. We're trying to teach guys now and implement the tools that you can create opportunities for yourself when the play isn't necessarily a layup. You guys understand? So just keep that in mind, man. Don't be the guy that's reliant on the play call. Get yourself open. Get your shot. Get your shot off on your own. All right? So we'll break back up. We don't need 6 groups. If you guys want to continue into these soft shoulders, is big. Which shoulder is soft on George? This one, the foot that's back. So if I want contact there. If I let George play me square and I run right at him, it's hard to run through that contact because it's firm, his foot's up. I got to get him with his ass to the sideline. So now when I run through contact, I can flip his hips and now I can go whatever my route was. Does that make sense? So let's work on threatening both inside and off the ball, outside. Now let's say you're inside. Same thing. I'm gonna run an out-breaking route. If I just run like this and just rip into the sideline, I never make him reset his hips. So run at him, keep him where he is, run at him, stack him, flip him, boom, and now we can break of a defender facing the end zone. So let's work on that next part of our progression. Does that make sense? All right, keep staying in the same groups. Same group. It is not the quarterback's role to see the eyes through 20 different guys. We all have to make sure our body language, our indicators, the way we see the game varies because they got the ball in their hand. And if you want them to throw it to you, they have to be very comfortable with what you do, how you look, in and out of your breaks, and everything we're trying to work on to improve. But none of it matters if these guys who have the ball in their hands pulling the trigger, they don't see it that way. So Dak's going to start us off, talk a little bit about from his perspective, and any of the other quarterbacks that want to piggyback, they're more than welcome. So this is super important, so give your attention to Dak.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you, man. First, just letting me be here. It's always fun to learn the game any way that you can. Obviously, just sitting in those meetings, learned a lot, helped me go and teach some of these young tight ends, Spoon and some of our other guys. But for me, I think Greg just hit it with the simple fact of it's understanding what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing. And true enough, Fred's done a good job at it. And the reason I say this is man-to-man, none of you guys should ever be covered. Man-to-man should never be covered. You should know where your quarterback's thinking, where he's thinking about putting that ball away from that defender because you're a mismatch. You're your advantage, right? You got the size, bigger than any third-level guy, and you're usually faster than the second level. I know those backers are getting faster, right? But that's where the indication and that's where just understanding where I want to throw the ball and where I want you to be is huge. Listening to Trav talk about yourself drove me crazy, honestly, right? Because in our offense, I don't want him to have that option to throw out. When you come out of that cell, if I wanted to get it to you, there where would it be? It'd just be on you now. But he knows that. He knows not to come out and ever slow down because that'll fuck up my timing. You come out and I see the defense, that ball will be drilled on you in that hole, so get your head around, but don't necessarily slow down your speed, right? So in that same sense, right, knowing where you are, knowing if you're number 1, if you're number 2, if you're number 3. Talking about playing in the rhythm and the melody. If you're number 1, right, you've got to be there at the time of the number 1. We're throwing the spots more times than not on our first read. When you get to the second and third, that's huge for your breaking points, your stair steps. That helps us, right, indicate he's breaking there to anticipate it. You're not the fastest guys, right? We just said that. You're running against a safety or a corner. How do I know to throw that ball? Unless you give me an indicator, that guy's going to beat you to the spot. So that's where that staircase, right, in the deep over. All those things matter to me, right? I'm watching the defense. I'm watching the back. I'm not asking you to be my eyes, however, in some offenses that are. But you've got to learn that, right? You've got to grow to that, and you've got to get that freedom. First and foremost, it's learning your quarterback. I know as a tight end, y'all got an offense, every part of it. I would say I challenge you to the run game, right? Pass protection, all that. The next step is truly knowing what your quarterback's thinking when he's throwing you the ball because you guys are quarterback's best friend. We've got to throw the ball across the middle to right to take advantage of our matchups outside. And if we're not on the same page as you, you don't have a shot. If you have a good tight end, you've got a chance to have a great team. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, just real quick, Matt Hasselbeck, I'm bald under this hat, okay, if you don't recognize me. Just real quick, I said it to my small group earlier, like learn the nuances. A basic isn't a basic, they're not all the same, right? So like a lot of tight ends that I played with, they would say like, oh, I got a basic on that. Yeah, what else? So I guess my one thing would be like, understand what the quarterback's job is. 24 double comeback is different than 24 double go. I'm taking 7-step drops on a comeback. I need you probably to get 12, so you're open by the time I get to you. Okay? If I go 24 double go, and I go from gun 3 and a hitch, now you can be a 10, right? Or if we go Z drive or flanker drive or whatever, 7-step for me. So you got a basic on all those things, but we want you to be open when our eyes are coming to you, not before that, right? So I think that'd be my one thing. Understand what the quarterback's footwork is. A basic, you might just say it's a basic. Not all basics are the same, and I could say that for just about any route, okay? But a basic is probably the #1 route for the tight end, right? In a corner, the same way. Just real quick, if you're the alert before #1 on like double follow or indie or dusty or whatever people call it, you're the alert before #1. That's got to happen quick. Your release is critical if you want that ball. If it doesn't happen quick, we're moving on. Okay?
Hey guys, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Played for the Rams, Bengals, Bills, Texans, Jets, Tampa, Miami, and Washington. I'll give you three quick things I think is really important, especially for tight ends. Number one is know who you are as a player. And the sooner you figure that out, the sooner you can carve a role on your team, the sooner you can carve a role and a reputation in the league, and the longer you last. Then you end up looking back and you're in year 8, year 9, year 10. But that's the most important thing, I think, for a tight end, to understand what kind of player you are and be the best at that. Whether it's being a pass catcher, whether it's being a quarterback's best friend, whether it's being the guy that can block, understand protections, be the best at what you're best at, and you'll carve a role in this league for a long time. Number 2, and I was talking to Greg about this in the hallway, quarterbacks, just like you guys, we develop scar tissue. So if I'm expecting you on the backside to be open on a route, and 3 times in a row in practice, you get jammed at the line, you fall down, you end up breaking out when I think you're breaking in, you're not going to see the ball. You're not even going to get the quarterback to look over there. So we develop scars as quarterback for you guys as being right all the time and working at it. And then number 3 is a real simple one. Working with the quarterback after practice, whether it's something silly, chips and flats, whether it's red zone routes, ball placement on some of that stuff in the back of the end zone, that goes a long way because that gets stuck in our mind. We get comfortable throwing to you guys down there, especially getting that extra work after practice and just doing a thing here or there, even when you're dead. Training camp, take it to the red zone, save your legs, but work on where that ball is going to be. That's a big thing for quarterbacks too because it sticks in our mind.
I've got one thing real quick. I think the better understanding you have of coverage, the better you'll be as a player. I speak for Evan because Evan's tight end with me at Jacksonville. He's, after practice, after meeting time, he's in there with me and Trevor majority of the time, trying to figure out what Trev sees and what he sees in coverages and whatnot. I mean, we were running the sail routes over there, and the sail route is run 3 different ways based on the coverage. Man is different than cover 2, is different than cover 3. And the quicker you can understand that, the better you'll be as a player and the more trust you'll have as a quarterback. So instead of just running a sail route like it looks on paper, you understand, like, okay, on the snap, this is a cover 3 look. It's going to be maybe a little bit higher, in between the hook and the flat player. Or it's cover 2, it might be put on me more in that void. Or man, it's different than all those. You're truly running to win, and it could be flat and more. And I think the better you get at understanding coverages, and that's just on any route. It could be a basic, could be anything. The better trust you'll have, with your quarterback, and the better just player you'll be in general, and the more targets you'll get for sure.
Brandon Allen, kind of just to piggyback off what all these guys said. Obviously, all great things, all right. My biggest thing with tight ends, you guys are the safety blanket for us quarterbacks, really. he said, you're bigger than those second level guys. You're faster, and we see you make a big body catch, a contested catch, like that builds so much trust with the quarterback that the next play, maybe you're a little bit more covered, but we still trust you to go up and get the ball. And so anytime you can build that trust, whether you said after practice, in practice, that trust goes a long way with quarterbacks. Awesome.
All right. Hey, so we got about 30 minutes.